the number one seed, but we haven't seen them do anything. It's not like they're Golden State Warriors who, been to the finals numerous amount of times.
A lot of their guys are younger. Are they used to this stage? Jokic will be fine, but he's going to need help.
Folks, do not be fooled. It wasn't that long ago that the Denver Nuggets, despite their renowned status as a number one seed in the powerhouse Western Conference all season, still weren't being taken seriously enough entering these NBA playoffs and even during the playoffs. And sure, even Nikola Jokic, one of the most gifted players in the NBA, refused the notion that the Nuggets are the favorites. He said,
I think we are not the favorites. I think in the finals there is no favorites. This is going to be the hardest game of our life.
And while that may be true, Jokic hears the noise, and I think he was subliminally saying that y'all didn't call us the favorites a month earlier. Y'all said the Suns had KD and Book and too much firepower. Y'all said AD and LeBron are too much of a force together. So don't even try to act like you're on our side now and picking us to win the finals. And I want to preface this all by saying this: the Nuggets might be the most overlooked first seed in NBA history, with perhaps the most overlooked superstar in the history of the NBA. This Serbian guy, who often looks like he moves slower than a parked car, is dominating the NBA playoffs, unlike almost any other player we've seen, and he still isn't getting quite the recognition he's so deserving of. The Denver Nuggets, led by Jokic's heroics, are in their first NBA Finals in franchise history, in large part because Nikola Jokic just finished a 4-game sweep of the Lakers, averaging a mind-boggling 28 points, 14.5 rebounds, and 12 assists, and he broke Wilt Chamberlain's 56-year standing record with the most triple-doubles in a postseason with 8. But why in the world should this come as a surprise to anyone? In the history of the NBA, there have been only 7 players to record a PER of at least 31 throughout an entire season, and of those 7 players, there are only 4 guys to record at least a 31 PER in at least 3 different seasons: Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Wilt Chamberlain, 3 physically gifted specimens, and Nikola Jokic. 3 guys that revolutionized the NBA with their athleticism and abilities to pull off breathtaking moves in midair, and Nikola Jokic, who not that long ago was apparently drinking upwards of 3 liters of soda every day. And that's not a slight at Jokic. It's simply incredible that he's nothing like most guys who reach the pinnacle of the sport, but is arguably just as dominant. And Joker stands alone with the single highest recorded PER season ever when he did it in the 2021-22 season. Yet for some weird reason, for the longest time, his name was either faintly mentioned in the proverbial best player in the world conversation or wasn't being mentioned at all until just recently. Let's face it, how many of us were actually paying attention to Jokic until this postseason started? And more importantly, how many of us realized how otherworldly he's been for years now? On October 20th, 2018, just 4 days into the regular season, we witnessed one of the most incredible individual performances in the history of the NBA, and no one even talks about it. On that day, a 23-year and 243-day-old Nikola Jokic scored 35 points, dished out 11 assists, and pulled down 11 rebounds on a picture-perfect 11 for 11 from the floor with a true shooting percentage of 105%. Throughout NBA history, there have only been 2 men that recorded a triple-double with at least 10 made field goals and no misses. The last man to do that was a then 30-year-old Wilt Chamberlain, who did it in February of 1967. Phoenix tried any and everything they could to figure out how to defend him, like it's almost as if he's moving in slow motion and is somehow already several steps ahead of the next play or next moment in the game. No breakneck speed, no high-flying dunks, no logo threes, no cocky celebration, just slow, methodical, and kind of boring. But that's who this man has been his entire career. But like all great superstars in NBA history, help is always needed, and that's exactly what Nikola Jokic got this season with his superstar sidekick Jamal Murray, returning from a horrible ACL tear just 2 short seasons ago. Jamal Murray, look man, what can I say about this guy? Like, the man who scored 23 of Denver's 32 fourth quarter points against the Lakers in Game 2 is proving once and for all that he is hands down one of the great playoff performers of our generation. Now look, what makes all this so bittersweet for Nuggets fans is what Coach Mike Malone said during the Lakers series in a press conference, that Jamal Murray had tears in his eyes when he tore his ACL and wondered what his future in the NBA would hold. Malone said that Murray had seriously doubted if he'd ever play again in a Nuggets uniform and thought he was, quote, damaged goods. And look, talk about a feel-good story. Here we are now. Jamal Murray, 2 years removed from tearing his ACL, just put together the greatest 3 quarters of offensive basketball in the last 25 playoffs. From the moment the fourth quarter began in Game 2 in Denver, to the moment the first half ended in Game 3 in LA, Murray scored a mind-boggling 53 points with 8 3-pointers, giving the Lakers all types of problems trying to defend him. And after Game 3, Murray became just the fourth player in the last 25 years to have 30-plus 30-point halves in the NBA playoffs. So why do you think he said, quote, "I don't think I get enough respect as I should. I'm better than a lot of players in this league." Folks forgot about him because he was injured and out of sight. Now he's put the world back on notice and is showing that the bubble wasn't some fluke playoff run. Okay, I've always thought it was disrespectful to Murray for dismissing his play in the bubble because it was just the bubble, especially because he shot a total of 12 of 22 from the three-point line against the Clippers, featuring all-world defenders in Kawhi Leonard and Paul George in those last 3 games in that famous 3-1 comeback. And that includes a 40-piece by Murray in the series-clinching Game 7. And people seriously thought this dude wasn't the real deal. The Nuggets looked like and felt like a completely different team this season, with Jamal Murray back in the lineup. I can hit you with the numbers, like the Nuggets being an impressive 112-60 in the regular season since the 2019 season with Jamal Murray in the lineup. But the flavor Murray gives this Nuggets offense is second to none, particularly with how devastating the pick and roll with Murray and Jokic is for defenses. In fact, a lot of people are just now realizing how good these two are in tandem. But they've been a terror to guard for years now, even going back to the 2018-19 season when Murray and Jokic led the NBA in points generated per direct screen set with 1.41 points per possession. And Denver's coach Mike Malone even spoke about how dominant these two have always been, and this was a couple of years ago, when he said, teams can double team him in the post, but when he's got the ball up top, he's unguardable. Because if you want to put 2 players on the ball, you've got Jamal, who is a pick and pop threat who can drive to the basket. I've not seen anything like this in many years. I mean, if ever. That quote is the essence of what could potentially win the Nuggets a championship this year. Because ask yourselves this, which other pick and roll duo in NBA history, name any, can you think of that both players, either the center or the point guard, could do either screen setting or coming off the pick? What I mean is, what makes the Nuggets such a nightmare to defend is that their 7-foot center Nikola Jokic is having screens set for him, while he's handling the ball coming off of the pick and either scoring the rock or generating offense for his teammates. No team this postseason had an answer for the Nuggets. Heck, I mean, Jokic and Murray made the #1 rated defensive team in the Lakers look like a JV high school team out there trying to play defense. All we heard for a long time was that the Nuggets are just a regular season team, and Jokic is just a regular season stat machine. Critics used Jokic and Denver's lack of postseason success as a way to tear down at his MVPs and to brush off the Nuggets as some pretender. The Nuggets at the start of this past 2023 regular season opened up the year with the same championship odds as the Lakers, who won 30-something games last year. I mean, that's disrespectful. But in the second round against the team that was favored not just to win the series, but among the top 2 or 3 teams favored to win the championship in the Phoenix Suns, Jokic, through those 6 games against Phoenix, put up staggering numbers. And I mean, this is one of the greatest stat lines you'll ever see. 34.5 points, 13 rebounds, 10 assists on jaw-dropping shooting splits of 59% from the floor, 44 from 3, and 85% from the free throw line, including that incredible 53-point game that came in a losing effort, which was the most points scored by a center ever in a loss. And Jokic scored or assisted on 78 of Denver's 124 points. And they tell me this man wasn't the season's MVP. Okay. All things considered, regardless of championship or not for Denver, what Jokic did against the Suns and the Los Angeles Lakers, considering how much each of these teams were favored to win the West over Jokic and the Nuggets, was enough to squash the notion that he's just a stat machine or doesn't win in the postseason. Hey, look at him now, in the freaking NBA Finals as the best player in the NBA, and he's on the cusp of winning the Nuggets their first ever championship in their 56-year existence. The Nuggets deserve their damn respect.